Your dog just destroyed the couch cushion. He knows you saw him. And right now, he's doing that thing. The ears back, the low tail, the slow-motion belly crawl toward you like he's trying to become invisible while still being completely visible. You always assumed it was guilt. But what if it's something even richer than that? Dog embarrassment? Yes, it exists. And here's the science. Have you ever watched your dog trip over their own paws? Full sprint, completely wipe out, and then immediately stand up and look around like they're checking if anyone saw? I have. You have. Every single dog owner watching this right now has seen that moment. And for decades, the scientific establishment told us, that's not embarrassment. That's just a conditioned response. Dogs don't have self-conscious emotions. You're projecting human feelings onto an animal. Well, science has updated its stance. And today we are going to walk through the neuroscience, the evolutionary biology, and the behavioral evidence that confirms what you as a dog owner have always known intuitively. Your dog feels something that looks a whole lot like embarrassment. And it is real. Welcome back to Dog Mind Science. I'm your host, and this is Season 2, Episode 17 of The Emotional World of Dogs. This one is going to make you look at your dog's guilty face completely differently. Let's get into it. The neuroscience. Let's start where all emotion starts, the brain. Now, the first question scientists had to answer was simple, but massive. Do dogs even have the neural architecture for self-conscious emotion? To feel something like embarrassment, you need more than just fear or pleasure. You need a brain capable of social self-awareness, some form of understanding that you exist in relation to others, and that others are perceiving you. You need a nervous system that can register, I did something. Someone saw me, and now there is a social consequence to manage. For a long time, researchers assumed that level of emotional complexity required a large neocortex, the outer layer of the brain associated with complex cognition, and that dogs simply didn't have enough of it to qualify. Then came the MRI studies, and everything changed. In 2012, neuroscientist Dr. Gregory Berns at Emory University did something no one had done before. He trained dogs awake, unrestrained, completely voluntary to sit calmly inside a functioning fMRI machine, and he started scanning what was happening inside their brains in real time, in response to real social and emotional stimuli. What Berns and his team found, published in landmark studies through 2013 to 2016, was genuinely profound. Dogs have a caudate nucleus, the same reward and anticipation center active in human brains, and it activates in response to social signals, familiar faces, and praise in ways that are functionally identical to human emotional processing. This was the moment the scientific conversation shifted. Because you can debate behavior, you can argue about what a tail wag means or what a certain posture signals, but you cannot argue with brain scans. The emotional hardware is there. Now here is where it gets specifically interesting for embarrassment. Because embarrassment is not a simple emotion. It's not just fear, and it's not just sadness. Neuroscientifically, embarrassment is a compound emotional state, and it requires several systems working together simultaneously. First, you need the anterior cingulate cortex, the part of the brain that monitors social performance and detects when your actions deviate from expected norms. This is the region that fires when you realize you've made a social mistake. When you wave back at someone who was waving at the person behind you. When you call your teacher mom in front of the whole class. That sinking, oh no recognition, that's your anterior cingulate doing its job. Second, you need the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, which processes the response. I am being judged. I am exposed. My social standing is at risk. This is where the physical sensation of embarrassment lives. The heat, the freeze, the sudden hyper-awareness of how you're being perceived. Third, you need cortisol, the stress hormone that spikes during moments of social evaluation and perceived judgment. And fourth, critically, you need oxytocin modulation. Because embarrassment only hurts in front of people you care about. You cannot be meaningfully embarrassed in front of a stranger you'll never see again. The sting of embarrassment is proportional to how much you value the relationship with the person who witnessed your moment. Now, dogs have every single one of these systems. Not metaphorically, not approximately, anatomically. The amygdala in dogs is present and highly active, especially responsive to human facial expressions, vocal tone, and signals of approval or disapproval. Research by Siniscalchi and colleagues in 2013 showed that dogs process human emotional cues with hemisphere-specific lateralization, meaning different emotional valences are processed in different hemispheres of the brain. This isn't reflexive reaction. This is organized emotional information processing. Cortisol spikes in dogs during negative social interactions? Absolutely documented. Research from Kuhne, Hustler, and Strew in 2014 showed measurable cortisol elevation in dogs during situations involving owner disapproval and social conflict. Their stress response is neurochemically real and measurable. And oxytocin, the bonding neurochemical I mentioned. Dogs and humans actually exchange oxytocin during mutual eye contact. Nagasawa and colleagues published this in the journal Science in 2015. The same hormonal loop that flows between a mother and her infant flows between you and your dog when you look into each other's eyes. Your dog's social bond with you is not just behavioral. It is hormonally real, and it is powerful. So, when your dog does that face, after knocking something over, the neural ingredients for something functionally equivalent to embarrassment are all present and accounted for. The hardware exists. The chemistry exists. The social bond that makes embarrassment matter exists. The question was never whether dogs could feel it. The question was whether we were willing to look at the evidence. The evolutionary why. But why would embarrassment evolve in dogs at all? What's the survival value? This is where the story gets genuinely fascinating, because the answer is directly tied to one of the most extraordinary coevolutionary relationships in the history of life on Earth. The 15,000-year partnership between dogs and humans. Let's go back to before dogs were dogs. In a wolf pack, social standing is not a luxury. It is survival. A wolf that misjudges a social situation, that acts inappropriately in front of a dominant pack member, that draws negative attention at the wrong moment, risks exclusion from the group. And exclusion from the pack means no protection, no hunting cooperation, no warmth, no access to food. It means death. So what did evolution do? It built in a powerful early warning system, social self-monitoring, an emotional state that activates after a social misstep, floods the nervous system with stress signals, and triggers appeasement behaviors. The lowered head, the averted gaze, the body made small, the posture that communicates, I am not a threat. I submit. Please don't exclude me. This system is the evolutionary ancestor of what we experience as embarrassment. Now, when dogs were domesticated and began living in human villages, in human homes, sleeping by human fires, this system didn't disappear. It recalibrated. The dominant social group that mattered shifted from the wolf pack to you. Your household became your dog's pack. Your approval became the most important social signal in their world. Your face became the face they were reading for cues about their social standing. And so the neural machinery for social self-monitoring, for registering social missteps and responding with appeasement, became adaptive in an entirely new context, the human household. Dogs who were better at reading human emotional cues and responding to disapproval with appropriate appeasement signals were more likely to be tolerated, protected, fed, and kept close. That's direct selection pressure over thousands of generations. The dogs who survived and reproduced were the ones who cared most about how humans perceived them. Embarrassment-adjacent emotional processing wasn't a quirk or an accident of dog evolution. It was a feature. It was adaptive. It helped dogs become the most successful domesticated animal in human history. When you see your dog do that self-conscious sideways glance after a tumble, you are watching 15,000 years of co-evolutionary social intelligence in action. They evolved to care what you think. They evolved to monitor how they appear in your eyes. They evolved, in the most literal neurological sense, to be embarrassed in front of you. Behavioral signs. Now let's get specific, because this is where you are going to start nodding your head and thinking about your own dog. Canine behaviorists and ethologists have identified a cluster of behaviors that appear specifically in social evaluation contexts. Moments when a dog has done something unexpected, clumsy, or norm-violating in front of their owner. These behaviors are distinct from pure fear responses. They're distinct from generic submission. They appear specifically when there has been a social audience to the moment, and they serve specific social repair functions. Here is what to look for. The first sign is the sideways glance. After a misstep, dogs will often turn their heads slightly away from you, while keeping their eyes on your face from the corner of their vision. They're not looking at you directly, that would be a challenge. They're not looking away entirely, that would mean they're not tracking your reaction. They are doing both simultaneously. This gaze aversion combined with social monitoring is a textbook self-conscious behavioral signature. They're checking your reaction while simultaneously signaling that they're not challenging you. The second sign is what I call the full body reset shake. Have you noticed that after something embarrassing, a fall, a failed jump attempt, a bark that came out completely wrong, dogs will often do a full body shake, like they're shaking off water, except there's no water? This is a displacement behavior, a way the nervous system physically discharges the tension of a heightened emotional state and signals a transition back to baseline. We have our own version of this. Humans laugh nervously. We clear our throats. We run our hands through our hair. Dogs shake it off. The third sign, and this one is iconic, is zoomies after bath time. If you have a dog and you've never seen the post-bath zoomies, first of all, I envy you, because you've clearly never given your dog a bath. And second of all, let me describe it for you. The moment that bath ends and your dog gets out of the tub, something ignites in them. A burst of absolutely frantic running around the house, sometimes rubbing their face into every soft surface they can find. Pure chaotic velocity for about 90 seconds, and then it's over. Researchers interpret this as a combination of relief, arousal, and a behavioral reset after a prolonged low-status experience. The bath is inherently undignified for a dog. They are wet, they are physically restrained, they are being handled and groomed, and unable to control the situation. Their autonomy is reduced. Their dignity, if we can use that word, takes a hit. The zoomies are the nervous system bouncing back. They are your dog saying with their entire body, I am speed, I am power, I contain multitudes. Watch me reclaim who I am. The fourth sign is the slow approach with ears pinned. After breaking a rule, they know getting into the trash, chewing something forbidden, having an accident inside. Many dogs will approach their owner slowly, ears pinned flat against the head, body low, sometimes offering repeated lip licks or yawning. This is the full appeasement posture. And here is the critical detail. This behavior only appears toward people they have a bond with. A dog does not do this with strangers. They don't do this performance in front of someone they have no relationship with. It is entirely relationship specific, and that tells us something enormous. The emotional state they're experiencing is directly tied to the specific social bond at stake. The fifth sign is the play offer after the tension breaks. Once the social moment passes, once you laugh or soften your expression, or reach down to pet them, many dogs will immediately offer a play bow or bring you a toy. This is the social repair signal. We're okay, right? We're still okay? I need to know we're still okay. This is not manipulation. This is your dog completing the social cycle. Misstep, appeasement, tension, repair. It's a sophisticated emotional sequence, and it requires them to be reading your state continuously throughout. The human parallel. Now I want to draw a comparison here, carefully, because this is a place where it's easy to go too far in one direction or the other. I'm not going to tell you your dog feels embarrassment exactly the way you do. They almost certainly don't have an inner monologue. They're not replaying the moment in their head later that night, cringing at their own memory of it. They're not constructing a narrative about what it means for their identity, unlike some of us, who absolutely do not do that at 3 a.m. Moving on, here is what the science actually supports. Human embarrassment, at its neurological core, is a social threat response. It evolved to help us monitor our standing in groups, repair social bonds quickly after missteps, and signal to others that we are aware of social norms and that we care about maintaining them. Embarrassment is, fundamentally, a social bonding mechanism dressed up as an uncomfortable feeling. Your dog's self-conscious appeasement response does every single one of those things. It monitors social standing. It triggers repair behavior. It signals awareness of norms. It communicates investment in the relationship. Different subjective experience, possibly. Same functional architecture. Same neurochemical ingredients. Same evolutionary purpose. The philosopher and cognitive scientist Mark Rowlands draws a useful distinction between propositional emotions which require language, self-narrative, and abstract representation, and affective emotions, which are felt in the body, in real time, in direct response to real social experience. Dogs are fully, neurologically, measurably capable of affective emotion. When your dog tucks their tail and gives you those eyes after the couch incident, they are having an affective experience of social vulnerability in your presence. Something is happening in their brain and body that is functionally real and neurochemically measurable. Whether they call it embarrassment in their inner world, we genuinely cannot know that with certainty. Whether they are feeling something real, something that matters, something that is shaping their behavior in this moment. The science says yes, without qualification. What to do. So, what do you actually do with this? How do you respond to your dog in these moments in a way that honors what they're actually experiencing? Here is what the behavioral science recommends. First, don't amplify the moment. If your dog slips on the hardwood floor and hits you with that embarrassed sideways glance, laughing loudly and making a huge production out of it isn't cruel, but it does extend and intensify their elevated stress state. Their cortisol is already spiking. The kindest, most effective response is a calm, neutral, reassuring tone. You're fine. It's okay. Something that communicates. The social moment is over. Your standing with me is intact. You can reset now. Second, don't withhold reassurance as a teaching strategy. This is really important, and it's something a lot of well-meaning owners do. After a rule-breaking incident, the garbage, the chewed shoe, the indoor accident, some people maintain prolonged coldness or silence to communicate disapproval, thinking the dog needs to sit with the consequence to really learn the lesson. Here is the problem with that. Dogs live in the immediate present tense of emotional experience. The message that prolonged coldness sends is not, "I shouldn't have done that. I understand now." The message is, "My attachment is under threat, and I don't know why. And I don't know when it will end." That's not learning. That's anxiety. Brief, clear correction, followed by reconnection, is both kinder and more effective. Third, recognize appeasement as communication. When your dog comes to you with the full appeasement posture, body low, ears back, gaze averted, offering submissive gestures, they are not trying to manipulate you. They are communicating something real and specific. They are saying, "I know something happened between us. I know the harmony was disrupted. I want to repair it. I am telling you that I want to repair it." Respond to that sincerely. A calm voice, a gentle touch, and then moving forward is the most socially intelligent and emotionally generous response you can offer. Fourth, protect their dignity after vulnerability. Bath time, vet visits, nail trims, grooming sessions, these put dogs in positions of physical exposure and social vulnerability. They lose agency. They lose control. The post-bath zoomies are a nervous system reset, and it's a healthy one. Let them happen. Don't extend the vulnerable moment by fussing over them too long, or laughing at the wet dog face, or holding them still while they clearly want to move. Give them back their autonomy as quickly as you can. The faster they can reset, the better they feel, and the more positive they'll associate with the next time that situation comes around. And fifth, receive the social repair when they offer it. When your dog brings you a toy after a tense moment, when they offer the play bow, when they come and press against your leg, that is an act of trust and connection. Receive it. Engage with it. Complete the cycle. You are both doing the same thing in that moment. You are saying, we are still us, and we are okay. The validation close. I want to close with something I think a lot of dog owners need to hear. For a long time, decades mainstream science dismissed what dog owners observed and reported about their animals' emotional lives. You would describe something you witnessed, something that felt emotionally rich and real and significant, and you would be told that you were projecting, that you were anthropomorphizing, that it was just conditioning, just instinct, just stimulus and response, that there was nobody home behind those eyes feeling anything. And dog owners, people who had lived with these animals for years, who knew their individual personalities and their particular ways of communicating, who had genuine relationships with them, were made to feel unscientific, naive, or even foolish for trusting their own observations. The neuroscience of the last 15 years has overturned that dismissal comprehensively. You are not imagining it. You are not projecting. You were not anthropomorphizing irrationally. You were reading your dog accurately. Because human brains and dog brains co-evolved over 15,000 years specifically to read each other, and that cross-species emotional perception is real, and it runs deep. Gregory Berns wrote it in 2016, after years of fMRI research. Dogs have the neural machinery for rich emotional lives. Mark Beckhoff, one of the founders of cognitive ethology, has spent decades building the scientific case that animals, especially social mammals, with complex brains and social structures, experience genuine emotions that are adaptive, functional, and real. Your dog's embarrassment is real. The sideways glance after the stumble is real. The belly crawl after the garbage incident is real. The zoomies reclaiming dignity after the bath are real. The toy offered as a peace gesture is real. Your instinct that it was real? That was real too. You have been reading your dog correctly this whole time. The science has finally caught up to what you already knew. Call to action. All right, before you go, I need something from you. What is the most embarrassed your dog has ever looked? The biggest wipeout? The weirdest fail? The moment when they hit you with that face that said absolutely everything without a single word? The bath zoomies that knocked over 3 pieces of furniture? The bark that surprised even them? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one and they bring me a completely unreasonable amount of joy. And if this video shifted something for you, if it made you see your dog's emotional world as a little more real, a little more rich, a little more worth paying attention to, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Share it with the dog owner in your life who has ever been told they were projecting, who has ever second-guessed what they saw in their dog's eyes, because they weren't imagining it either. Next week, we're going somewhere deeper and more difficult. Dog grief. What happens neurologically and behaviorally when a dog loses a companion, whether that companion is human or another dog? It's going to be one of the most important videos we've made this season. Subscribe so you're there when it comes out. I'll see you next week.